So ask like, when does life have value?
Oh, instantly.
All right.
As soon as you're born, and not
I
so
like
much.
it.
Okay.
It depends who asked the question, I guess, isn't it? Like, what do you define the value to be? Like, what do you mean
I mean,
by value?
actually,
to
first of
begin with?
all, is life valuable? That's the first question because some people don't think it is. Is every life valuable?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Why?
Well, we all have our
We
own...
all matter. We all can contribute to this world. It's like the butterfly effect. You having this interview now. You don't know if that could change future people in course. So yeah.
So we agreed life is valuable.
Oh
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
is
So,
valuable.
but when does life
What do you mean,
first
like,
start
when-
to become valuable?
Okay.
At what point is
Yeah,
life
I
valuable?
think-
Or is there some time where your life might be valuable now but not another time?
Pregnancy,
I see where you're going with this.
Pregnancy is like, people have baby showers and stuff, and I pretty much instant, and then
Yeah.
what
Because,
what
like, it
makes
brings-
you
like,
go,
so, like, the baby showers,
that
it brings
mum,
joy to the-
and that father
the community
obviously
and the
places
mother.
that child under value.
I think-
to have that baby shower
So it's
and
from the
stuff like
beginning,
that.
from day one,
as
from
soon-
conception.
I think it's after 3 months, after you have that clear, I'm gonna have this baby and stuff like that. That's when it becomes valuable, because any time before that, anything could happen, and
But
that's-
is it not?
Yeah.
Is it not still? Is that life? Even though anything can happen, is that life still not valuable? Is that life?
Oh, of course
not,
it is.
It's still
It is,
valuable.
definitely.
It may be. It may
to
be
that person,
vulnerable.
to the
It may be
mother,
vulnerable.
I think it's more valuable to
Yeah.
the mum and the dad and
Yeah.
what goes on at the moment.
Yes,
but then, in the future, then people understand and it's like, oh yeah, you're pregnant and stuff, and then go from that. But the instant that the mum finds out, valuable, definitely.
Yeah, I think, kind of what you're going off of, I think, when we can assess value, we should assess impact. So technically, for some, that baby can have an impact from pregnancy. But, again, if we're going to, for example, frame this around abortion, because this is what majority public discourse is about, then, when does that value become equal to a live breathing person? When it becomes, I think when it becomes equal to a live breathing person is at birth, but doesn't mean it doesn't have value. They definitely has value and impact on a person's life. As
But
you're
it
all
could be
saying.
like
Well
a
said,
positive
well said.
value, or it could be a negative value as well, equally just
Both
as
are
the
impact.
same.
But in terms
Exactly.
of valuable,
still all
but in terms of
valuable. So
valuable
it
and
depends.
worthy of protection.
So it depends what you mean in value. Like if there's like
To every mother, is
if someone wants to
regardless, it's
conceive,
still
there's a value to have a child, and they're happy to
If
have
they go
this.
for-
If it happens
They go
in,
ahead
like,
with
let's
it,
say in
yeah.
the instance of a rape, it's valuable, yes, but it's a negative approach on that. So where do you go from there?
I mean, another question, like even going for, where does our value come from?
So yeah.
Yeah, I think a value can again be assessed by impact. When do we start impacting others? So again, it can be from from conception by impacting by like baby showers.
Yeah.
But also life is also valuable outside of the womb when talking me and you we all have impact. We all have value. Every single person walking across the street does have impact and does have value. Doesn't mean it's always positive, but doesn't mean it's always negative.
Yeah. That's where there's balance.
Everybody has
isn't it?
value in
Yeah.
somebody else's life, whether
Absolutely.
if
Yeah,
somebody
I
else
agree.
feels it or not.
Yeah.
That person still has value in the other person's life.
I mean, we could even take like if there could be a 2-year-old, let's say, and their mother can't look after them, and their mother may not value them, but if their mother doesn't value them, does that mean that 2-year-old is not valuable, or do you think there's some inherent
No,
value?
that would be
I
mother's
think
perspective
that
if
is,
they don't value a
completely
child.
I think that's a completely different
Yeah,
aspect
it's- yeah,
altogether.
I agree.
If the kids got taken off the mother, it doesn't mean that she's valuable. It just means that she hasn't have the
It
go
depends
to
what
to
your perspective you look at. Do you look
know,
at it from
look
a
after
child's
the
perspective or
children.
the mother's perspective?
But if they can go into somewhere else, if you're on about like care or like foster care, and that, that it doesn't mean that the mother doesn't value him. It just means that they can contribute to the life that they are
guess,
valued.
Yeah, I guess what I'm going is also that our value doesn't come from one particular person valuing
No,
us. Because imagine
I think we
if your
know.
value only
It's
came
like
from
everybody
I'm
has
sorry.
a circle.
I think sometimes we can put our like I might be like, oh, my value value comes from my
Yeah,
my
but
partner or my husband.
I was
But
gonna-
then when
yeah,
he
that's it.
stops
I'm
valuing
sorry.
me, does that mean I have no
we
value?
don't
like,
know,
no,
I
like-
don't know you.
Don't we
But
need to
I'm
discuss?
you still have value.
Don't we need, sorry, we don't need to discuss what value means to you and what it means to, like, let's say him or her. We all have different values. We respect different things.
Yeah.
We see life differently. So how can you even ask a question that's one thing or one child or sperm
No, no,
has the value? Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
my point is coming from that I believe.
So what is value? I think we need to
believe that
discover what
humans-
is value and
yeah.
what you believe the value is.
So humans have intrinsic value,
Right.
and my value, your value, your value, your value, everyone's value doesn't come because someone else values us. It's intrinsic.
That's
I
it.
believe
It's
that
not-
because
exactly.
I
I
believe
agree.
we're created in the
Nice.
image of God.
Yes.
I believe that God, our value comes from God because we have a creator.
That's lovely.
And so it doesn't matter if anyone on earth stops valuing me, it doesn't change my intrinsic value. Same for
Yeah,
you,
I
same for
agree.
you, same for you.
No,
so
I-
value is not something that someone else
That's
can
so,
put up.
yeah, no, I like that.
So
I,
that-
I,
I
I
agree
like
what
that
you're
view
saying,
on that. I
absolutely.
do.
So,
Yeah.
so therefore, if every life is valuable, is every life also worthy of protection?
Yeah, well,
yes.
no, I think
Even
it
a sen-
depends on
Hey,
the circumstance where
yeah.
I'm going to circle back to the point where I said, like, where it can have a negative or a positive approach depending on the life and how it was conceived. Yes, the life begins at the conception. That's why I believe in myself personally. Yes, if it has conceived in a wrong way, where the mother possibly been raped, abused, all these multiple
forgive
different
that.
different
I think
different
because
avenues.
it's
Yes,
the,
the life
it's the
does
sin
matter.
of the person that did it, not the sin of the
But
person.
yeah,
that
the
it
life
made
does
to be done
matter.
upon, you
But
know?
then, like, when the mother is damaged, for example, how can she value that child? So how can the child then value themselves later on? So can you, like, I don't know, like, I just feel like it should be a freedom of choice, unfortunately, and that might be not
we
what,
need to hear your views. So this was
not might want to be what we want to hear, but that's what I